This week on Everyday Reviews, a vehicle that I've been waiting to drive for a long time. This is the all-new Land Rover Defender, and it is so cool that it's gonna get its own montage. Cue it up. Oh boy, am I glad we got some shots of this Defender clean. It's dirty now, and obviously it's snowing, but you know what? Hey, it's a Land Rover. It looks good, especially when it's dirty. So what do you think so far of the looks? Personally, I absolutely love it. It looks rugged, but it is modern. It does have a modern look. It doesn't look too boxy. There are two versions. There is the P90, which is the two-door version, and then this is the P110, which is the four-door version. I think the P90, the two-door version, does look a little more proportional. It looks definitely better for off-road, but for practicality, I don't mind this whatsoever. Up front, you have LED headlamps. You have this rugged front fascia, and on either side of the hood, you have this checker plate kind of pattern. And you know what? This is kind of handy. It's kind of a little bit grippy. Maybe you need to put something or rest something on there if you're off-roading, or maybe even your coffee cup if you're just taking a break. That is kind of cool. This comes standard with 20-inch wheels as well. This will raise up because it does have the air suspension, which we will talk about later. Now, one thing that's a little bit odd though is that this has the keyless entry, so you just touch the button to open it. But most people are right-handed. When you go to grab it, the button is not here. It's on the forward side. So you basically have to use your left hand to grab it and just to lock or unlock it. It's just kind of odd. And I really noticed it. It's just, it's not very common. So this does have a white roof, and check these out. These are skylights for the inside, and it does make a big difference for the rear passengers. In the back, you get these stylish square LED lights. They are kind of flush, yet they're inset. Then you have a full-size matching spare tire, so there's no issue if you do get a flat when you're out on the trail. So let's open this up. It's a swing door. Now, it is fairly heavy because of this gas strut here, just to let you know, but there is so much storage, not just in cargo area, but in little cubbies throughout the entire vehicle, including on the back side of this door. So we look back here, you have a hard plastic finish on here. If I own this, I'd probably get a rubber mat or something just to stop things from sliding around. But you know, one thing that I like grocery hooks on for the cargo area, and this probably has the most hooks I've ever seen in a vehicle. I love it. I put it to good use, and there's good connectivity back here. You have 12 volt on the left side, and the right side you have 110 volt right there. It's a 180 watt inverter built in. You have some more hooks. There are those skylights I was telling you about, and there are two buttons here on the inside here where I can hit that button and up we come. Look at that. That's fairly quick too. So look at the difference of height that this thing has went up. Sometimes you might want it a little bit higher to make things easier to unload, or maybe you want to bring it back down. There she goes. Down it comes. The inside of the Defender really mimics the exterior as well, meaning that it is bold and kind of rough and tough, yet it has some premium elements to it. You know, starting from just the seats themselves. They're made of, basically, it's like a leather-like material, plus you have canvas on the outsides of them. These ones are heated and they're ventilated as well. And I just like, they're kind of grippy, which you kind of really want, especially if you're doing some off-road driving. The premium aspect though is, you know, you have a very, very nice leather wrapped steering wheel. You have a lot of nice leather or very soft touch points all around you. There are a few parts where there is hard plastic, for instance, on the door panel here, and you have some exposed bolts, and that gives it a rugged kind of look as well. And in front of the passenger, you have a shelf there, which is rubberized, which is nice. Nothing's gonna go sliding around, but above that, it is hard plastic, and I totally get it. It makes it easier to clean up. Just think if you're camping or if you're off-roading and you're gonna throw things, you know, just muddy gloves and things like this, it's just easier to clean off of materials. Speaking of throwing things around, there are so many areas for storage in this Defender, and a lot of handles, for instance. So they've got all these little nooks and crannies and openings so you can grab onto. Like, so on either side, there are kind of grab handles to hold on to. Even in front of the passenger, you can hold on to. In the middle console here, you could go and put things underneath it. You can put things with your drink holder. This has wireless charging. Of course, your middle console and their door pockets also have room as well. This comes with a Meridian stereo system. This also has the digital display for your gauge set in behind the steering wheel. Easy to see, easy to use, and then in the middle you have a very similar size screen for your infotainment, and this one also has Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and it does have your cameras, which is really nice because it has the 360 camera, and there are 3 different modes, because depending on what you're using the vehicle for, you might need different cameras. So there is on-road, then there's off-road, which is going to show you on the sides as well, and then there's towing, so it's going to show you more of the back. And right below, there's another cluster. It's very, very compact. First of all, you have your gear selector, and I like how they didn't try to go and fancy with some push button gear selectors. A lot of times they say that they use that to save room, but you know what? This proves it right here. There's a joystick here for your gear selector, and it doesn't take up any room at all, yet it's easy to use. And then beside that, you have your climate control, and also the climate control button also doubles as a selector for your terrain modes. And so if you go into terrain modes, you can actually use the same rolling knob to actually select what you want, and it will display on the screen. It also selects your heated seat as well. One thing I did notice though, and I can't find it in the menu, is that right now you can see it's snowing right now. So when it's cold out, when you start it up, it doesn't default to have the seat heat on or the steering wheel heat on at a certain temperature, for instance, like some vehicles do. I can't find it. Maybe it's there, and it would be nice because in the wintertime, hey, every time you're going to get in here, everything's going to be cold. Power and connectivity, you got it in spades here. Up by the passenger, you have a USB. There, you have a USB-C. In the middle, you have a regular USB, and then another 12-volt outlet there. And in the back, even more power for the passengers. The second row also gets 2 12-volt outlets, one for either side passenger, and then in between that, 2 more USBs. There is power everywhere in this vehicle. No one has to go without. There are a couple power plant options available on the Defender. There is the 4-cylinder turbocharged 2-liter, and that puts out 296 horsepower and 296 pound-feet of torque. And then you have the P400, that's the P300 by the way. The P400 is the inline 6 supercharged engine, and that has 395 horsepower and 406 pound-feet of torque. And both of those are matched to an 8-speed automatic transmission. I am a huge fan of inline 6s. And I like how they are coming back, it seems. Mercedes using it as an inline 6. Of course, BMW has their inline 6. They just provide great linear power and torque. And this one with the supercharger, there's no lag whatsoever, and you feel that torque way down low. It just makes it very easy to drive. We're going up a hill right now, and just a slight press on that pedal. And when I say slight, I'm talking maybe 20% pedal, and off you go. Zero effort whatsoever, and that's really, really handy, not just for off-road, but for on-road especially. So off-road wise for the Defender, well, most of us all know Land Rover Defenders have been synonymous for rugged off-road vehicles and extremely capable, and this one I'm sure is just as capable as any other Defender that has come before, if not more. Unfortunately, I can't really test it off-road for a couple reasons. First, there is nowhere near here that is off-road that's accessible to me. There was an area that I've used before, and they've actually closed that down now, and the next place would be pretty far out of the city. Plus, I have very limited off-road experience. I have been off-road quite a few times, but still, compared to the hardcore guys or even the weekenders that go off-roading every weekend, you guys know what you're talking about. You guys know what to look for. I can just basically provide you specs. So all P110 Defenders come standard with the adjustable suspension and also the actual air suspension as well. So you can actually raise this vehicle up or down and quite a bit. Basically, it will raise up to, from normal height to the top off-road height, you're raising it about 3 inches higher. And then there's also an access height where you can lower the vehicles to get in or load things up as well. Now what's kind of neat is if we actually go, we can actually see the vehicle dimensions on the screen here, and you can change it from feet or meters, and it will give you all of the length and the height especially, which can be very handy depending on if you're parking in underground parking lots. You know, they usually have that bar before you get in, and basically you can hit that bar, or it'll actually have a height number on it. Well, you can actually make sure that your vehicle is within those parameters, so you're not going to take something off of the top of your vehicle. Also, there is in the settings here something called wade sensing. So if you're going to wade through water, for instance, it says wading in ice may cause damage. It's because it is 0 degrees right now. It's very, very cold outside, and it's warning me. So we are not going to wade through ice. Now, if you are going through some large puddles or some streams, this can wade up to 900 millimeters in height, which is 35.5 inches. That's quite a bit, and that's totally stock. Of course, all Defenders come standard with 4-wheel drive with a 2-speed transfer case. There is a low button, and there are some other options you can get for 4-wheeling. There is something called all-terrain progress control. Essentially, it's an off-road cruise control that will work from all the way from 1 to 30 kilometers an hour, and that allows the vehicle to do all the work for you in a way for accelerating, braking, and you can just concentrate on directing the vehicle where you want to go. That's very, very common nowadays on some of the newer off-road vehicles, and yeah, it's a welcome feature, especially if you're going into some tricky situations. So now let's talk about on-road performance, because let's face it, even though this is an extremely rugged vehicle, not just in the looks, but how it's built, most people will spend most of their time on the streets. Even if you take this out off-road or camping on the weekends, most of the time while you're driving there, you are on the street. So you really do want a nice ride. And this is where it has really blown me away. This is the first Defender I've ever driven myself, and I've driven a lot of other off-road vehicles, and you usually have a lot of compromise, you know, because it's really geared for off-road, so it suffers on on-road manners. This one here, seriously, it is so surprisingly good. Suspension-wise, that adaptive suspension works like a charm. It's not jarring at all, and it's very engaging. There's a really, really good on-center feel for the steering as well. The brakes, someone said that they are grabby. I don't notice that at all. They're very progressive for me. Everything works really well with the torque, and the ride is just very, very refined. This is not like driving a off-road truck at all. You have some hints of utility for sure in here, like we talked about for the interior. However, you do feel like you are in a premium vehicle. How the seats feel, how everything is put together. It really is an impressive package, not just for the driver, but everyone else in the vehicle as well. In my mind, this Defender kind of sits in a class of its own. It is an SUV, however, it's not like a sports SUV, for instance, like a X5 or a Porsche Cayenne. But then it's on the rugged side, it's kind of slots in between, let's say, like a Jeep Wrangler Unlimited and a Mercedes G-Wagon. However, and it's kind of priced in between as well. So it has all the rugged availability of a Wrangler and some. And it has all the premium features that you would find in the G-Wagon. So yeah, it kind of slots in between, but then neither of those have a third row option, which this does. So yeah, it is in a class of its own. Off to pick up the family now, and you know what? I'm really curious to see what Cynthia thinks of this vehicle. She is a fan of the Mercedes G-Wagon. You know, I have no idea why. Just it's probably a lot of badge appeal. You know, a lot of people really like that status of the G-Wagon, and she thinks the Wrangler is too rugged. So this kind of slots in between, and we'll see what she thinks. Okay, as explained, Cynthia has not sat in here. She has not driven this vehicle. She has just observed it from the outside. So I really want to know what she thinks. This is her true, candid opinion. Obviously, she needs to drive a little bit more, but right off the bat, Cynthia, what do you think? Of course, you've just got in it, but you know, what's your first impression?
It looks quite rugged, and actually has a lot more than what expected for off-road truck inside.
Yes, as I said, it does have a premium type of feel to it. Now that's why I really wanted to ask you, because you're a fan of the G-Wagon. You love the Mercedes G-Wagon. I think mainly because of the badge, but anyways, you know, like so. But then, you know, like, did you like the Jeep before? Or was that too rugged for you?
That was a little bit too much for me, actually.
Yeah,
I appreciate all the features and everything in it, but it was just too much for me.
And like so far in the few minutes that you've driven this, how does it feel? Like, because a lot of times, you know, if you own this vehicle, or if we own this vehicle, I highly doubt we'd be taking it off road. And I think that applies to most people that buy vehicles like this, especially if you live in the city. So how does it feel so far, just like in the city driving?
It drives a lot lighter, even though it feels very tough and, you know, it's solid, but it drives really light and easy. Yeah, it accelerates quite fast too.
Yeah.
Very responsive.
It is very, very responsive. Now, a couple things that I noticed while driving this. First of all, I touched on the cargo area. Now, I had a chance to help my brother move, and I must say we were both pretty impressed of how much stuff you could actually fit in the back of this. It has a very large, boxy, square opening, and it's very tall. So that was a big plus. A couple other things that I noticed as well. Oh, by the way, when we had it full like that, the digital mirror was really, really handy because we couldn't see anything, right? And the fact that in a lot of vehicles that have these digital mirrors now, they place the camera very close to the regular backup camera. On this one, they place the camera for the digital mirror up on top of the back of the vehicle. So there's a couple things. First of all, it's going to stay cleaner if you're going to go off-roading, you know, so it's higher up. But also if you're towing something, or let's say you have a bike rack or something, it's not going to get obstructed. So it's right above, so you could have a vehicle full of cargo or people and towing a trailer or something, or a bike rack, and you could still see. So that's a big bonus. Speaking of seeing though, these B-pillars though, I notice are very, very big. And that it does create quite a big blind spot for you. Good thing you do have blind spot mirror warnings on the mirrors. But yeah, a pretty big void right there, so just be aware of that. The kids like all the windows. As we mentioned, you have the skylights in the back. They've never ever seen anything like that. How's the room back there, girls? Is there a lot of room back there? Why is there a tire on the back? It's the small little things that actually that get little kids going. We mentioned the full-size tire. Also, this does have a third row, believe it or not. It's just, yeah, there are only 2 seats. However, hey, in a pinch, it's there. And you know what? Here's a shot of the girls playing in the third row seat. It's not huge. I would recommend only for little kids on short trips. So Cynthia, is this a no or is it a go? Does it get the Mama Chow approval?
How much is it?
It all depends how you equip it. This one, as is going to run you around $85,000 to $90,000.
With the options, the room we have, and then how solid it is, I guess we can live with it.
All right, well, it gets the Mama Chow thumbs up.
It is easy to drive around, that's for sure. I thought I was going to be really rough, right, and everything, but no, it's actually smooth.
That's what surprised me too. Like it doesn't drive very trucky. It's very accurate and precise. Yeah, unlike when you drove that G-Wagon, I don't know what you found in that. Especially the older version. It is not a great drive on the street whatsoever. Yet you liked it, but who knows? So what can I say? This new Defender really is all of that. It met all my expectations, even though we didn't really take it off-road. I know how capable Land Rovers are. I've been as a passenger in some older ones, some newer ones, and man, they can basically conquer anything you can throw at it. But what's really surprising is how well-mannered this is on the road and the utility and the everyday drivability of this. I've never really been a huge Land Rover fan and never really aspired to own one, but after driving this, it really has changed my mind, and I would consider getting one of these Defenders. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure hit that subscribe button, give it a thumbs up if you liked the video, and we'll see you on the next Everyday Reviews. Safe driving.